Latinos, Native American Indians, Israelite foreigners, scattered across the four corners of the earth, including within America, Babylon the Great. We got the Most High Yahweh's chosen people, the nation of Israel. So without further ado, as always, just want to give all praises, glory, infinite honor to my power, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who was the God of the living, Yahweh, Bahashem, Hamashiach, Harishabar, Wadash. Alright, which in ancient Hebrew means all praise to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, in the name of His only begotten and anointed Son, Yahweh Shai, and Holy Spirit, who is our strength and our Redeemer, and our light and our salvation. Alright, and also want to say in ancient Hebrew, Mashana, Kabawadim Lahasakwanium, Shal Gadabarbakab, meaning double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, the true shepherds of Israel, along with the like-minded Sequani Wa'akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing in sound doctrine and faith, truth and sincerity. And Shalom, honors and salutations to Bayath Shadawada, which is in ancient Hebrew, meaning the house of David, representing the 144,000 elect governing body of the house of David, along with the rest of the one-third elect men, women, and children of Israel. And it's your fellow servant, Malak Rayab, you're back at it again with another lesson through the spirit of prophecy, being a testimony of our Lord and Savior, Hamashiach Yahushai, who the Master of the world ignorantly referred to Jesus Christ. Adam Ratazab, meaning Lord willing, let's be for edifying His willing to the elect of Israel. So this is just another edition of Global News End Time Prophecy, of the date January 26, 2023. He's going into a series of global events filled to do biblical prophecy to further confirm the end of Esau Edom's rulership. The devil the Bible speaks of, whom is a man of sin and son of perdition, a self-proclaimed white man, and the beginning of the rulership of the descendants of Jacob, so-called blacks and indigenous people, and Israelite foreigners. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and bring out this first precept. I'm going to play a couple of clips and bring out some information. And I'll do some news articles. I'm going to start off in the book of Ecclesiasticus, or Sirach, chapter 28, verse 18. And it reads, "Many have fallen by the edge of a sword." Okay? Many have fallen by the edge of the sword, but not so many as have fallen by the tongue. All right? Because these Edomites are very brash with their tongue, with their mouths. Okay? That much more further now, where they're blatantly, announcing, proclaiming, the intricacies of their satanic agenda. Like Germany, further proclaiming war against Russia. So now they're no longer hiding the fact that they're no longer hiding behind this Ukraine proxy war between the U.S., NATO, and Russia and their allies. Now they're just blatantly coming out and proclaiming what their plot was or what their plan was the entire time. Okay? It's to further wage war on Russia, which is a war that is required by the wicked elite central crime banking syndicate, the biblical Dukes of Edom, to further justify this global reset. Okay? And institute this satanic grain and rights device. But that could not happen. Okay, that was not prophesied to happen before they were to be used by the Heavenly Father Yahweh in the name of His only begotten Son, Hamashiach Yahushai, to globally collapse these economies and suppress and suspend these governments, by purposely exacerbating the world's natural resource supply and commodities, okay, through the likes of cybernetics on behalf of these planned and anticipated cyber attacks, further compromising the likes of these such resources mentioned, along with geoengineering, which I'm going to get into at some point in this lesson. All right, geopolitics. All right, geoeconomics and the military-industrial complex, okay, are a part of their satanic devices, which they have been utilizing to usher in this satanic NWO, including their technocracy, this fourth industrial revolution. All right, and they're proclaiming what they're planning to do, what they've always been planning to do, especially on behalf of the World Economic Forum. Proclaiming to the world that, the masses of the world would own nothing and be happy. Meaning what? A lot of people would delight in the fact of of or delight and a false sense of comfort and security offered by these same people that have compromised, uh, this so-called security and comfort. Okay, meaning well, these people wouldn't even know that they're enslaved once they take this satanic grain of rice device and everything. All these global events that are happening, okay, are all a part of this World War III algorithm to eventually cause people, the masses, to eat out of the hands of a wicked elite by accepting this charagma, okay, this MOT to the B. All right. So this is the next precept in Sirach chapter 20, verse 18. It says, "To slip upon a pavement is better than to slip with the tongue. So the fall of the wicked shall come speedily." All right. So before I play these clips, I'm gonna say fair use.
Essentially at war with Russia. Here it is. "And therefore I have said already in the last days, yes, we have to do more to defend Ukraine. Yes, we have to do more also on tech."
Detonate a nuclear weapon. Someone's going to test one, but something is going to happen.
Yeah. Let's actually hear the words from the German foreign minister. She actually said yesterday, this was even before Biden's announcement today, that Germany is essentially at war with Russia. Here it is. "And therefore I have said already in the last days, yes, we have to do more to defend Ukraine. Yes, we have to do more also on tanks. But the most important and the crucial part is that we do it together and that we do not do the blame game in Europe, because we are fighting a war against Russia and not against each other." Thank you. Oh.
Thank you, Madam Minister.
So, I mean, now they're just saying it out loud. We are fighting a war against Russia and not against each other. So rather than just saying, look, we're helping Ukraine defend themselves, it's the Ukraine war against Russia, and, we're going to help them out a little bit. No, it's just a flat out, we are at war with Russia. And it's really insane. And going back to Medvedev, you've mentioned him, and, he was going back and forth with Putin. They were kind of doing this. Somebody would be prime minister, one would be prime minister, one would be president, and then one would be president, one would be prime minister. They kind of flip back and forth. And the narrative right now is that, once Putin is out of power, everything's fine, which is what they always do. It's what they said about Castro down in Cuba, for example. Once this person's out of power, everything's going to be fine. And they said that even about Assad's family, about his father, and so but it never ends, right? I mean, if Putin, when he eventually is no longer in charge of Russia, somebody, probably Medvedev, maybe somebody else, but most likely him, will be in charge of Russia, and it won't be enough. They'll say,
and they better hope that doesn't happen. And we don't. For those, for the men of the Lord, which are the prophets, Jerusalem reincarnated, prophesying against wicked empires of famine, war, and pestilence, just like in times past, whose minds are in tune with prophecy, doesn't foresee this place, exceeding, or doesn't see this place or foresee this place going on for very much longer. Case in point, in regards to these devils further, befall themselves with their own tongue, or being used to do so by the Heavenly Father, who controls all spirits. They're being boastful, with their agenda, especially in the realm of cybernetics. But going back to Putin for a second, they better hope that something doesn't happen to him, because if Dmitry Medvedev gets back in there as president, that war hawkish Edomite, that could further catapult this war, okay? Because Putin is more diplomatic, but nonetheless, this is where we're at, man. So let me go ahead and
actually, they'll say, and they've already been planting the seeds if you actually read through the mainstream.
So I'm going to pause this for a second, and I'm going to go ahead and bring out this next article, or this first article, rather. All right. And this is on, so let me go over to this platform here, get this article on their plot of the whole cybernetics aspect of their agenda. Okay. And that's going to affect everyone's livelihood. Okay. So, go ahead and get this article here. Because there's been in the last few months, past months, even going back to the summer, there's been a major influx or series of incidents of cyber attacks on these major power plants, affecting electricity and heat. All right, mainly electricity in this case, along with these major food processing plants, being caught on fire. Okay, quote unquote randomly, so they say, right? In which about 20 plus food processing plants were compromised. Now we know, pursuant to Sirach 39 chapter, around the 26th verse on down, that the necessities of man, were prophesied to be weaponized against man. Why? Because the earth was given to the hands of the wicked, and this is part of their plot, to justify, the institution of or implementation of this satanic NWO, of their Edomite hegemony. Okay, which is why they're weaponizing every damn thing. So it says here, another North Carolina power substation damaged by apparent gunfire. It says another power substation in North Carolina has been damaged because of apparent gunfire. Energy officials said Tuesday the damage occurred at a power substation in Thomasville, about an hour away from Moore County, where just weeks ago 2 other substations were attacked by gunfire. You see the trend here. You see, now Esau's playing. Now Satan is playing games with this shit because it gave me the option to read this without having to go to the app. Now it's making me go to the app. You see, it's Satan. Spiritual wickedness in high places. So let's go to the app. Okay. Bring out. See, it's all bullshit. This is what we have to deal with. This is a part of the laborer's work. Okay, the temptations. You know what I'm saying? And the vexations against the spirit. Let me go ahead and install this real quick. I'm gonna go ahead and delete this shit. Okay. See, and it's Satan. Basically, in that article, man, it mentions how these attacks were not random. That's what it mentions in the article. Okay. Matter of fact, I'm good through the spirit. So let me go down. Call on me, how about Shem Yashai? So it says the Random County Sheriff's Office said Tuesday that police responded to a vandalism call at the substation and that investigators responded to the scene. The FBI and the State Bureau of Investigations were also notified, police said. Investigators recovered evidence from the scene and canvassed the surrounding areas, gathering additional information. The sheriff's office said, based on information gathered, investigators believe the incident occurred around 3 a.m. And 3 a.m. is in the cultic world is known as witch hour. So that's when these devils look to really entice these demons for enchantment purposes. Okay, whether it's be praying over the satanic music they promote, promoting ungodly lifestyles such as sodomy, feminism, murder, through gun violence and pharmaceutical drugs, which is pharmakia, witchcraft. You see, and so forth. Okay, but in general, this is 3 a.m. is considered witch hour, so it's very interesting they mention that here. But it says the investigation is ongoing. Steve McCashin, Energy United's Vice President of Energy Delivery, said in a statement that company strives to deliver safe, reliable energy to its members. While we are glad that our members did not experience any service interruptions, we take this matter very seriously and are currently investigating the incident, McCashin said. And here's the point. The point is in the following paragraph. So the damage to the substation comes weeks after 2 other power substations in the state were hit by gunfire, leaving at least 40,000 people without electricity. And there was also about 4 different power substations in Washington, D.C. that were compromised by gunfire. You see that? We're not ignoring these devil devices. Same situation down in Oregon around so-called Christmas. Okay? Which is why we're seeing this global trend, not just nationally based, but globally, this global trend of energy crisis, ongoing energy crisis transpiring. Like down in Pakistan, there's about 220 million people out of power. And just like down there in South Africa, you see, there's energy crisis that's transpiring right now down there. Okay, that has resulted in blackouts due to their power stations um, not functioning at full capacity. But we know the real reason why this has happened. This is all engineered, part of their Hegelian dialectic. Which I'm about to play a clip to further substantiate all of this information. Filter the biblical prophecy, and all the reason why down there in this case Turkey, despite their current military, and geopolitical and geoeconomical differences with their top NATO ally America, Turkey, a Turkish company has recently offered what they refer to as quote unquote floating power ships to help supply electricity to Ukraine after Russia, reportedly destroyed 50% of Ukraine's energy infrastructure. Okay, per United Nations report. You see, so these things are happening for a reason, man. But here's the point here in the following paragraph. It says it wasn't random. See that? It says it wasn't random. Moore County Sheriff Ronnie Fields said of the December 3rd incident, right? Because you devils behind it. See, thou sayest it. You see, so it's very interesting that they mention that. Because they, they're being further exposed, that much more further through their tongue, So go ahead and grab this quick precept. All right, grab this quick precept in the book of Job, chapter 15. Job chapter 15, verse 16. It reads, how much more abominable, it's like it's not it. Verse 6, Salakia, thine own mouth condemneth thee, and not I. Yea, thine own lips testify against thee. Okay. All right. And they're testifying against him by revealing the wicked intricacies of their satanic agenda. And that's to regulate the human experience. A main theme of the Davos, Switzerland, annual World Economic Forum meetings. Okay. Hence why that damn Teemanite, so-called German, Cotton Schwab, is known to further push out the theme of the wicked elite, central banking, crime syndicate, the biblical dukes of Edom, the throne of iniquity and rulers of the darkness of this world, all right, by further proclaiming what their agenda is, to control everyone through this new way of living, through this technocracy, okay, so they could gradually present how they look to regulate the human experience through the satanic grain and rice device. So all you false prophets out there teaching that the MOT to the B is sin and an embargo or Shedamite, whatever the case may be, you're going to be destroyed, okay, if you don't repent and stop misleading the sheep, okay? So to further go into how the devils are being further exposed, by way of their satanic counsel, being further exposed by the tongue of their own mouth, all right, let me go ahead and get this precept in the book of Jeremiah. Let me see. Jeremiah chapter 49. Verse 7, and it reads, concerning Edom, thus saith the Lord, Yahweh of hosts, is wisdom no more in Teman? Is counsel perished from the prudent? Is their wisdom vanished? Okay. And basically prudence means wise discretion. There's nothing discreet about these devils, especially now. Okay, because their counsel being exposed, especially on behalf of these Temanites, being that Teman is so-called the modern day Germans. Okay. And the modern day Temanites are the Germans in this case, so-called Germans, okay, which is why Germany is heavily involved, especially now with further catapulting this satanic NWO, including Germany, further proclaiming declaring war on Russia, which is very interesting for the fact that Germany relies on about 60% of oil exports. Okay, from Russia, so they're heavily reliant on Russian energy to survive, for heating purposes, electricity, and this is why the Chancellor Olaf Scholz, I believe his name is, was reluctant on co-signing with Germany supplying American NATO with German-based weaponry, and tanks and so forth, including their tanks and so forth, because of what, because of what I just outlined on their reliance on Russian energy. Now they just came out with it out of being pressured by their top NATO ally, America, and that's going to get them destroyed. You see, and all those who have agreed to supply, it's like Ukraine, okay, on behalf of America, NATO, with weapons, military equipment and artillery, including these Leopard 2 tanks that Germany and Poland and France have further co-signed on behalf of America and NATO to Ukraine, because it's been further exposed that, especially on behalf of Dmitry, the foreign minister for Russia, Sergei Lavrov, that America is at war with Russia. Okay, there's this whole proxy war thing, has been, a cover up has been further exposed. See, and before this, and that's going to further lead into this last world's war, Harmageddon, and result in the majority of the populace of the world to be destroyed, except for the elect. And before that happens, the next replacement currency, which is a satanic grain and rice device, Kadagma, must be implemented. So we're living in very exciting times, man. Okay, on behalf of those, who are laboring for thy rest, understanding the kingdom of heaven is a true place of rest, man. Okay, the kingdom of heaven, mainly within Jerusalem. Okay, where we're going to be restored back to. Okay, pursuing a biblical prophecy. But before then, you Edomites going to continue to be exposed, man, within your satanic council. This is going to grab this quick precept. Okay, in verse Jeremiah 49:20, which reads, "Therefore, hear the counsel of the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Shai, that he had taken against Edom, and his purposes that he had purposed against the inhabitants of Teman." All right, these so-called Germans. "Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them." And the least of the flock is the state of Israel. I'm going to speak on them real quick. Okay, before I play this clip. All right, in just a second. All right, so Salakia. All right, so yep. Let me grab this quick article. It says U.S. and Israel launch a massive joint military exercise to send a message to Iran and others. A senior U.S. defense official said that the exercise is not oriented around a particular threat, but that regional adversaries like Iran will take notice. You see? It says the United States and Israel began a massive joint military exercise in Israel on Monday to show adversaries like Iran that Washington is not too distracted by the war in Ukraine, and that the threat from China to mobilize a large military force, a senior defense official said. So they're further using these proxy wars to further justify targeting their sovereign enemies, especially with, within the means of their sovereign survival, affecting the survival of the world, through a geopolitical lens, a geoeconomical lens, a technocratic lens on behalf of technology and these integrated computing systems and other forms of technology, okay, through AI and so forth. They're looking to further regulate the human experience. This is why cybernetics is heavily involved. Now Iran, the state of Israel is being further mentioned, within these growing, escalating conflicts, because them getting involved is very pivotal for this war, eventually transpiring. Before it does, all right, these cyber attacks can either be blamed on Russia and China, and other series of similar events would have to transpire before they implement that MOT to the B. So speaking of cybernetics, let me go ahead and play this quick clip. All right, in just a second. All right, just a sec.
but still.
Rewind a little bit. All right, so this is the head of the World Economic Forum. All right, Klaus Schwab getting ready to make his commentary on cybernetics and its pivotal role in their satanic NWO agenda. All right, just a second.
It's going to be shut down. And it's amazing that these guys just somehow foresee this. Huh? Isn't it?
We all
Take a
know,
listen.
but still pay insufficient attention to the frightening scenario of a comprehensive cyber attack, which would bring to a complete halt to the power supply, transportation, hospital services. Our society as a whole would be seen in this respect as a small disturbance in comparison to a major cyber attack.
You see, hey man, we're not
telling you, and
ignorant
they've
of
been
these
telling
dumb
us.
devices, man.
But this is what the next
You said
step of the
everything
plan
we
is. And
shut
again, I said
down.
earlier.
Okay, transportation. You see, and everything was tied into everything technologically based and so forth is tied into the power grids. That's why we're hearing these global reports of cyber attacks and whatnot. You see, not a coincidence, man. Okay. So, bring out a similar article. All right, and how is it going to further affect the world? Okay. This is on EurasianTimes.com. It says catastrophic impact. Let me move this up top. It says catastrophic impact. U.S. experts flag the threat of electromagnetic pulse attack by China, but Biden administration reluctant to act. It says experts in the United States, quote unquote experts in the United States, are concerned about the vulnerability of the country's grid infrastructure to electromagnetic pulse attacks, apparently due to the lack of sufficient attention from the Biden administration. As Eurasian Times reported recently, Japan, one of the major U.S. allies in the Indo-Pacific, has plans to acquire countermeasures against EMP attacks at 5 bases of the Japan Air Self-Defense Force by the end of fiscal year 2029. And speaking of Pacific, right now, China and Russia are conducting in joint military drills along with the likes of South Africa, part of the BRICS Union alliance between those countries. In the Pacific Ocean, reportedly, along with the Atlantic Ocean, surrounding America, Babylon the Great. And that further fulfills the former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev's wish for nukes, to be deployed near Washington, D.C. Now they are, essentially within these military joint drills. Because why? They have taken a page out of America NATO's book, okay, of them being on Russia's doorstep down there in Ukraine, okay, a former Russian province, okay, of Russia before the split in the early 90s of the USSR and so forth, and what was left of that alliance from World War II, in the Cold War up until that point, okay, mainly the Cold War in this case. Alliance and so forth on behalf of USSR involving or including Ukraine. And then so now Russia has taken Russia and China and their allies have taken a page out of American NATO's book by deploying their missiles on American territory. You see? So these war drums are beating louder and louder because that doom is coming to the great land of confusion, America, Babylon Great, for her wickedness reaching the heavens, man. Okay. So, but I digress. It says, jump down here to the point. It says a successful electromagnetic pulse strike against the U.S. will be a catastrophe beyond measure or comprehension, essentially ushering in the end of the world as we know it. Yet the Biden administration is failing to do anything about it. Okay, because that's the intentions of the wicked elite, central bankers, for nothing to be done about it. Okay, so they could justify this. Okay, reported on World Economic Forum website, and that's what this is entitled. Geopolitical instability raises threat of catastrophic cyber attack in next 2 years. And this is basically pushing the idea of global warming, okay, through the green emissions aspect of their wicked ass agenda / council, where basically, the concept consists of, people being the cause of the world's resources, natural resource commodities being, exacerbated and depleted, out of them using everything up, okay, which is why they're looking to justify implementing this next precursor to the Karagma, okay, satanic grain and rice device, through the CBDCs, based off of a carbon footprint tracking digital system, okay, that will limit people's carbon limits. Being that, that is a major element of human beings, that basically means what? This is how they look to regulate the human experience, okay? But through restrictions and how we live, like including our transactions, the amount of our transactions, who we congregate with, okay, the amount of internet access we would have, okay, through the internet, way of things. You see, and this is where cybernetics is involved. That's why they have cyber polygon, so they can further, which is a satanic council, to further justify preparing for this cyber downturn through these anticipated quote unquote cyber attacks and blaming on their cyber enemies. That would affect people's ability to live, because without power, how could one keep their food cold and prevent the effects of biochemical biological warfare, and germ warfare and so forth, by keeping their food cold in the refrigerator when there's no damn power, okay, or keeping warm and keeping one's immune system further intact, through heat when there's no power. You see how this is all interconnected. And this is and this further confirms this man is of sin and son of perdition is the devil the Bible speaks of. None other demographic of people but the Edomites, the self-proclaimed white men. Okay? The disease of the earth, like it says in Sirach the 10th chapter. And they're behind this tyranny and this mischief and this global mayhem going on right now. Okay? All right? So it's further revealing who they are in the Holy Scriptures. Okay? So we'll go back to Newsbreak for some similar events, all right, that are taking place, because ultimately this is going to result in the Karagma being implemented. So, let me see what else I have here. Yep, I'm going to mention some in a second. All right, so yeah, so let me bring this out. It says, how to prepare for a power outage and what to do if you lose power. As Americans, we're lucky to live in a country where we are used to taking working utilities like electricity and water pretty much for granted. Most of us reside in homes connected to the power grid and municipal water supplies. We rely heavily on the assumption that the lights and heat in our houses will always come on when we need them, until, that is, a major storm rolls into our area. All right, so it says, according to Climate Center, a nonprofit organization that studies climate trends, weather-related power outages are on the rise in the United States. In December 2022, Winter Storm Elliott left more than 1.5 million homes without power. The prospect of getting through multiple days without electricity may seem very dire indeed, especially when sometimes just getting through an hour without our phone or computer can prove difficult. With some planning, though, you'll be able to weather. Okay, and there's a couple of options here, through generators and so forth, which I believe Yeah, this is this model here, right? Rainick 5000 solar hand crank emergency radio. Now, for those who can afford it, it wouldn't hurt to get your hands on something like this. Even though that's not going to save us, you know, as opposed to our faith. But yeah, I mean, it's like I said, I mean, it's a good something to consider. Bug out bags. It's not wicked to have bug out bags, but a lot of these people gonna rely on that shit, and they're gonna get put to death. And a lot of them bug out bags could be reserved for the elect. You know, So this is why they're looking to blame Russia and China, for these up and coming cyber attacks that they have planned. As a matter of fact, let me find an article on that information. I don't write this out. Let me just see if I can find it real quick. All right, so go over to this platform. All right, and that's Satan messing with the. Give me a second. All right, let me see. There's quite a bit. Let me see. Slovakia. There's an article I'm looking for. It basically outlined that, Slovakia. It might actually be on through DuckDuckGo. Let me go back there for a second. Slovakia. Maybe I just overpassed it, but let me see. Yeah, but yeah, I mean the point has pretty much been made on that with the cybernetics thing. Yeah, Satan is fucking with my mind right now. I can't think of where it was at. Um, Matter of fact, let me just type it in real quick. Uh, 2023. Uh, Let me see. Slovakia. Give me a second. Slovakia. Yeah, see if it comes up here. Yeah, I think it's the other article, man. Slovakia. Let me move this out the way. Yeah, I'm just gonna let it go. But yeah, you can look it up for yourself. I thought I had it saved, but hey, like I said, the point of matter stands. Um, with that, how that further ties into the World War III algorithm. That's why, by the way, that's why back on December 10th, 1974, they had another satanic council known as the Henry Kissinger Report, otherwise known as the Implications of Worldwide Population Growth for United States Security and Overseas Interests, where they were discussing reducing population. And like it was mentioned, you know. Um, Matter of fact, there's an article on that. Let me see if I can find it real quick. And it goes into that. How they're expecting 90% of the world's population to cease. Okay? And over this whole cybernetics thing. Khan. Yeah. So yeah, let me go back to the article. Let me see. All right. Yeah. So let me go back to the article real quick. Yeah. Here it is. This is where it was at. Was this it? No, this wasn't it. I don't think that was it. Yeah. Anyway. So so back on this article here. Let me jump down a little bit. Yeah, I believe it's in this article here. Salaki, let me jump up a little bit. Let me see. Yep. According to U.S. military experts, a successful EMP attack over the East Coast could kill 90% of the population on the East Coast within a year of an attack, and it could take 18 months to restore the electricity grid and social order. See that? You see? This is why they're provoking China into this last world's war through the whole Taiwan proxy, a former Chinese province of their territory, part of their sovereign business that America is butting in and intervening within. Just like similar with Ukraine being a former Russian province of Russia, and U.S. and NATO, involving themselves in their affairs. So eventually, they're gonna do something stupid to the point to where they're gonna piss them off and they're gonna shoot nukes. And this is why, back on this article here, we get a commentary, we get a comment, a recent report. Yep, it's on Newsweek, and it's entitled, Russia will destroy Leopard tanks just like Tigers in World War II, minister warns. Russia will destroy Leopard 2 tanks similar to how they beat its predecessor Tiger tanks in World War II. According to Minister of Internal Affairs, the Russian state-run news agency TASS reported on Wednesday that Russian Minister of Internal Affairs Vladimir Kolokotsev said Russian military forces will destroy the German-made Leopard 2 tanks that will soon be sent to Ukraine. They perfectly preserved the picture of tigers and panthers burning on Russian soil in the memory of the modern generation. They will remember burning modern leopards as well, the minister said, according to the TASS news agency. Okay, so by way of U.S. and NATO, or in this case Germany, co-signing the likes of Poland and France, to further, send their German-made Leopard 2 military tanks over there to Ukraine at the behest of America and NATO. Okay, it's further compromising the livelihoods of their soldiers, man. Because this is further forcing the sides affiliated with the U.S., NATO, and their allies, and Russia and their allies to pick a side. Like Germany was stuck in between a rock and a hard place because they were really being lukewarm, or in this case, rather, they were being they were straddling the fence because they don't want to piss America off, top NATO ally, but they also want to piss Russia off because they rely on their energy. Now they just completely piss Russia off, by co-signing their military equipment to be given over to Russia after damn near a year now, or pretty much a year. Because this Ukraine proxy between those two sovereign entities has been going on for about a year now. Okay, now Germany finally caved in under the pressure, and this is going to be very, pivotal for their livelihoods because they're going to be destroyed, man. Through their army. Is why this article is entitled. Let me see. Yep, Russia now engaged in a real war with the West over Ukraine. Lavrov, the troubling escalatory rhetoric from the Kremlin's top diplomat comes as Russia appears concerned about game-changing NATO shipments of Leopard tanks to Ukraine. Russia's top diplomat on Monday said the invasion of Ukraine no longer represents a hybrid conflict, but rather a real war between Russia and the West, a troubling escalation in rhetoric that aligns with growing concerns that Moscow is preparing to lash out at new NATO support for Kiev. He said, when we talk about what is happening in Ukraine, we are talking about the fact that this is no longer a hybrid war, but a real one, which the West has been preparing for a long time against Russia, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said during a visit to South Africa, historically an ally of the Soviet Union and a contemporary Russian economic partner. Okay. Yeah, so he said what he said there. So we'll go ahead and get this similar article. I'll go ahead and continue with the precepts. All right, so this is on zerohedge.com. And it's entitled, Kremlin Reacts to Doomsday Clock Moving Closer to Midnight. The Kremlin has weighed in on the bulletin of the atomic scientists moving the doomsday clock closer to midnight. That's what they did a few days ago. Okay, moving the doomsday clock, so-called doomsday clock, 90 seconds to midnight, which is the closest it's been in history. Okay, and after Germany just declared war on Russia, I'd imagine they moved that even closer to midnight. Because this is Esau's way of looking to try to determine the times table of war, which he doesn't have. He does not have that luxury because he is not the Heavenly Father. And he's ancient because he's ancient of all days. Okay, the Father of spirits and the Father of time. That's where you get that worldly saying, Father Time is undefeated. Ultimately, because it's on behalf of Abba Nawi Yahweh. So it says, as you reported earlier, the body of scientists and intellectuals, which have maintained the clock since 1947, on Tuesday, moved it to 90 seconds to midnight, which is the closest it's been in history. The bulletin explained that the clock moving closer is mostly due to escalation among world powers in Ukraine. The Russian government on Wednesday called it really alarming, with Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov confirming that de-escalation does not at all seem to be on the horizon, and that the question of ceasefire talks is a thing of the past. Okay, reported yesterday. Okay, so with that, get this next precept. Okay, in the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 7, verse 43. All right, Salaki, and it reads, but the day of doom shall be the end of this time, and the beginning of the immortality for to come, wherein corruption is past. Okay? Immortality lines up with St. John 3 and 16, going to the prophecy and how whosoever would call on the name of Yahweh by Shemeshai, only given to the Israelites, would receive everlasting life, and that's immortality under the second holy covenant. That's how we know, how we fair know we're not under the second holy covenant. For you reprobates out there teaching that madness, okay? And this immortality is going to come as a part of the perks of the kingdom of heaven when this corruption is past, okay? And speaking of corruption, let me bring out this quick screenshot. I'm gonna play another clip. I'm gonna play one more clip. All right. We're speaking about the corruption of this devil. Case in point. So this is let me see. All right, now peep this. Now this is a commentary from the this is commentary from the World Economic Forum in Davos, okay, in regards to those who rallied behind the war in Ukraine. And this is what they were discussing, and this is how the corruption got further exposed on the Ukraine proxy. How they've been laundering money on behalf of U.S. and NATO, mainly the U.S., okay, about $140 billion worth of allocated money, okay, further based off of our tax-paying dollars to Ukraine. When America has an infrastructure problem, a poverty problem, they're more so based off of their 52% federal budget going to the military industrial complex, further, supporting their allies, as in Ukraine. So it says, at the same breakfast session, Larry Fink, which is the CEO of BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager, spoke of his plans to help coordinate billions of dollars worth of reconstruction finance for Ukraine, saying he hoped the initiative would also turn the country into a beacon of capitalism. And it lines up with Job 5:12. How the counsel of this devil, would not, he would be disappointed within his satanic counsel. They would look to, regulate the human experience, through this grain and rice device, implanting it under the skin of people, controlling their everyday lives. And this is all a part of that agenda. Control. It says, David Solomon, CEO of Goldman Sachs, spoke cheerily of Ukraine's post-war future. There is no question that as you rebuild, there will be good economic incentives for real return and real investment, he said. See? Turning Ukraine into a beacon of capitalism. This is what it's all about. Money with this devil. Okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead and get this clip from the redacted platform, and then play a little snippet of that. All right, in a second. All right, fair use.
Are you curious about what your local politicians are up to? Did you know that political information about members, staff, lobbyists, everything Ukraine will be your breadbasket watch?
It is obvious that American business can become the locomotive that will once again push forward global economic growth. We have already managed to attract attention and have cooperation with such.
Slovakia. Charge this up real quick.
Giants of the international financial and investment world as BlackRock, JP Morgan, and Goldman Sachs, such American brands as.
Yeah, let me rewind it, reload it, Slovakia.
Everything Ukraine will be your breadbasket watch.
It is obvious that American business can become the locomotive that will once again push forward global economic growth. We have already managed to attract attention and have cooperation with such giants of the international financial and investment world as BlackRock, JP Morgan, and Goldman Sachs, such American brands as Starlink or Westinghouse have already become part of our Ukrainian way. Your brilliant defense systems, such as HIMARS or Bradleys, are already uniting our history of freedom with your enterprises. We are waiting for Patriots. We are looking closely at Abrams. Thousands of such examples are possible, and everyone can become a big business by working with Ukraine in all sectors, from weapons and defense to construction, from communication to agriculture, from transport to IT, from banks to medicine. And I believe that freedom must always win.
It's like a creepier version of like an Epcot ride.
You see? He said freedom must win. He's being facetious. Okay? And the freedom to remain, subjected within the coercion and conditioning of one's mind to the satanic agenda. Because a lot of these fools, especially these American so-called these diehard patriotic Americans believe that, you know, what America is doing with Ukraine is beneficial for their, you know, for the morale and vibration of America. When the vibration of America is satanic, man, and that's why their council is satanic, because they have they have convinced the world that they're not, what they're doing is not evil, and that's why that famous proverb goes, the greatest trick the devil did is make people believe that he doesn't exist, and that's why you got a whole bunch of atheists out there. People don't know what to believe in, and that's why another reason why people are in distress right now. Hence why down there in Atlanta, you know, they got riots going on over there as a further, you know, byproduct of the wickedness of America, you know, through the lens of you know, political corruption, okay, and oppression, you know, through racial epithets and so forth, okay, which is why down there in Ukraine, the so-called blacks are being mistreated, but a lot of you niggas want to go down there and fight Esau's war, and then knock, you know, and then come up missing, you know, or come back in a damn body bag, okay, for doing this, you know, the bidding of Satan, like it says in 2 Thessalonians, the 2nd chapter. And that's why Henry Kissinger said, you know, another reason he said all military men are like dumb dogs, because he understands that they're just pawns, all of them. See, and it's part of reality that's coming more, you know, to the surface. For to shine a light on the darkness of these devils, like it says in St. Luke 12:2 and so forth. For exposing Esau, Edom, and his corruption. You see? So speaking of corruption, he grabs a quick precept. In 2nd Esdras, the 6th chapter. I'm going to bring out a few more articles and a few more precepts. This is 2nd Esdras, chapter 6, verse 27. For evil shall be put out, and deceit shall be quenched. As for faith, it shall flourish. Corruption shall be overcome, and the truth which has been so long without fruit shall be declared. Right? Because the Holy Spirit of this word is for the casting down wicked imaginations and strongholds and stumbling blocks of the wicked satanic council. Okay, evil, a part of the epitome of evil, this wicked covering cast over the entire world through her modern day Western philosophy, which is, her modern day wine and fornication, which is her Western philosophy of America. Okay, that is the epitome of evil that people predominantly believe is a righteousness, pursuing Isaiah 5:20. Okay, and that's why the masses are going to die. They're going to continue marveling after this beast system and take the charagma, the M-A-R-K of the beast system, and die in that lake of fire, that second death. Okay? And this is why, you know, civil warfare is going to be heavily involved in this agenda. And, you know, as a further effect of their devices, you know, on behalf of cybernetics and whatnot. Okay? You know, causing people that are already in a sense of distress as a further result of this global supply chain / energy crisis, and further, you know, intensifying, increasing hyperinflation and so forth. You know, it's going to further, you know, result in people lashing out, especially against cops. There's a lot of cops being targeted and put to death. There's a lot of cops. You know, a lot of cops are going to return their badges. Okay, another reason why, for the fact that the left wing has further, you know, pushed the defunding of law enforcement. That's why there's a shortage of cops going on right now. Okay, and anytime people call 911, you know, collectively, you know, they're getting long hold times. Because of that reason. It's all done by design. So what does that result? What's it going to result in? Okay, a bloodbath on the streets over a fight over a scarcity of resources. This is why a lot of these truck drivers are going on strikes and whatnot. Like down there in Canada, they were getting their bank accounts frozen down there in Canada for protesting over the dragon juice, the venomous dragon juice. See? And that all ties it to this carbon footprint-based digital tracking CBDC system. Okay? A part of their digital wallet and whatnot. Including everyone's medical records, banking records. Okay? And even serving as a car key. These are the lying miracles. These are the lying wonders that are miracles they're looking for to normalize their satanic agenda. That's why down there in Peru and down here in South America, Peru, predominantly the tribe of Asher, is going apeshit over there, man, by way of a geopolitical democracy-based protest against that government. Just like down there in China, including Sri Lanka. Okay? So this is 2nd Ezra 6:22, and suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. Verse 24, at that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. The springs of the fountain shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. It's going to be civil war, like it says in 2nd Ezra 15 and 19. Okay? Over resources. As a further result of what these devils are doing in the world. You see? So, yep. So, like, these 20 plus food facilities have been burned in 2022. I wonder why or how. Okay? This is what these devils are doing. So, yeah, I'm going to get this article on this subject now that I'm speaking about it. This is endtimeheadlines.org. It says, we are about to see job cuts on a level that will cause shockwaves across the country. It was reported a few days ago. So the shockingly large wave of layoffs has already begun, and we are being warned that much larger layoffs are coming in the months ahead. That is very chilling to hear because job cut announcements are already coming in so rapidly that I couldn't possibly share them all with you. I wrote about some of the major layoffs that are happening just a few days ago, and now I have more to share. We haven't seen anything like this since 08, you know. And many of you still have very painful memories of what the Great Recession was like. Unfortunately, America is now plunging into another severe economic downturn, and that means that there will be a tremendous amount of pain in the weeks and months to come, and it's going to include hunger pains. People are going to be starving to death, man. Okay, and I've heard confirms that people only are civilized, people only as civilized as they are permitted to be within the comfort of, their necessities to them. Like that saying goes, take away a man's sandwich and see how fast he comes out of the corner, swinging. Like Big Warren from the Friday said, playing with my money is like playing with my emotions. So these people gonna go apeshit, man. All that howdy neighbor bullshit, that's gonna be out the door. People gonna be conspiring on their neighbors, their spouses, colleagues, and so forth, if they think they can come up off of them. That's how bad it's gonna get out here, to the point to where cannibalism is gonna be factored in. Prophesy in Isaiah the 9th chapter. So it's about to get real dark out here. Okay? It says, earlier today I was stunned to learn that a new survey has found that 20% of business economists expect employment at their company to fall in the coming months. A growing number of business economists expect companies to reduce their headcounts for the first time since the pestilence, a sign the job market is beginning to cool amid an increasingly dark economic outlook. All right. People gonna lose their minds, and they're gonna be targeting people. Okay, and this is why these this leaks is a part of the petrodollar being devised. I mean, really devised to be depreciated within its spending power. Okay, and everything is is interconnected. So China tells state banks to prepare for a massive dollar dump and yuan buying sprees. Beijing's prior interventions have failed to stem its currency's worst year since 1994. So another further justifiable reason for these nations to back out of their support of the petrodollar, within the grand scheme of things, within the international markets. Okay. Another reason right here, MSN.com says Russia and Iran team up to evade Western sanctions. Because without dealing with the petrodollar in international markets, they could really bypass these sanctions without having to really deal with the petrodollar as opposed to their central bank and digital currencies, that they're further developing. They're further developed over the years. Okay, so I'm about to go ahead and speak on that in a second. It says tough economic sanctions the U.S. and European Union imposed on Russia and Iran have succeeded in cutting off those nations from much of the world economy, but they've also had an unintended effect. Moscow and Tehran are now joining forces to evade some of the crippling trade restrictions. They're investing billions of dollars on an 1,800-mile trade route that enables them to move products of all kinds over land and water that's beyond the reach of the West to buyers in the fast-growing economies of Asia. See? So they're making their moves. Okay? To avoid having to deal with the whore that sits upon many waters, America. All right? So, so we're going to grab this similar article. All right, speaking on that alliance in a second. All right. So, yep. So this is on China and Russia bringing their growing military cooperation to Africa. China and Russia have set out to bring their growing defense ties to Africa, in which both powers have increasingly invested their economic, political, and military capital. China, Russia, and South Africa announced last week their intention to hold 10-day trilateral naval exercises off the southern coast of Africa next month, a plan that has raised concerns among critics of Moscow's ongoing war in Ukraine. Following talk with the South African counterpart in Pretoria, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov defended the drills as a natural development in which three sovereign countries, without violating any norms of international law, conduct exercises. He suggested that only probably our American colleagues would take issue because they believe that only they can conduct exercises around the world. And this is why, recently, let me see where it's at. So on USSAnews.com, all right, reported a few days ago, says Russian warship with unstoppable 7,000 miles per hour hypersonic missiles sails towards U.S. and will soon be in strike range. A Russian warship armed with unstoppable hypersonic missiles is sailing towards the U.S. coast in a show of strength, reports claim. The guided missile frigate Admiral Gorshkov has been closely monitored by NATO navies on its maiden voyage armed with 6,670 miles per hour Zircon weapons. An unconfirmed Russian Telegram channel report says it was spotted on radar in neutral waters of the Atlantic Ocean. Very big right there. At an effective salvo launch distance from the U.S. coast. See? So that's major news, man. That means they're on the doorstep of America, which they essentially already have, been. But now they got missiles on the doorstep of America. So that makes what the report was going into with the whole doomsday clock. It'll be that much more, paramount as what's eventually happened. And that's the destruction of this place. Okay? So speaking of doom, this is 2nd Esdras 7 and 43. Let me go ahead and grab that real quick. 2nd Esdras chapter 7 verse 43. It reads, "But the day of doom shall be the end of this time, and the beginning of the immortality for to come wherein corruption is past." And what is that? End of the time until in the end of Esau Edom. Pursuing 2nd Esdras 6 and 9. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. And that's why when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. Through protesting, rioting, pillaging, out of a lack of comfort and the resources that are really now scarce, which is why, speaking of that, before I continue, there's a report of egg prices, further skyrocketing beyond 43%. All right. Slovakia. You can speak on that real quick. This article it says borderline residents hunt for cheaper eggs and waters. Face fines and smuggled into U.S. Key word here is hunt. Hunt for cheaper eggs. That's the spirit people gonna be in, man. High egg price in El Paso have some crossing to waters in search of lower prices. Since the end of 2022, when the rise in the case of bird FLU started, egg prices have been escalating significantly. Why? Because there was a further lack of bird feed. Based off of the supply chain crisis. Okay, it's all part of the Hegelian dialectic. According to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, more than 43 million chickens had to be culled due to the pestilence in the last months of 2022. Buying a dozen eggs and waters can cost residents around $2.50. In El Paso, that same dozens can cost $5.30, as opposed to the $2.50 in waters. Okay, which is more than double the price down here. So the price difference has prompted local residents to smuggle eggs from waters to El Paso. According to U.S. Customs and Border Protection, the El Paso field office saw a 92% increase in the calendar year comparison. All right. So when you continue on reading, all those who get caught smuggling eggs across the border will face $300 civil penalty or fine, man. So, as a part of this distress that people have due to a scarcity of resources, they're going to continue to protest, okay, riot, to the point to where, along with that rioting, pillaging, and so forth, and committing acts of arson and so forth, that's going to justify these devils implementing martial law, man. Okay, which is really what's going on down there in China. China is the top World Economic Forum of America and NATO. Now, Esau's propaganda tools are never going to reveal that, but this is where the true reporters come in, the prophets of Jerusalem. Okay, doing the will of Abba Yahweh. Okay, this is ultimately why these nations are going to go to war, because these devils, the means of how these devils are looking to, usher in this agenda is affecting their sovereignty. Okay? Case in point. This is why that doom is coming to their ass. So the 2nd Esdras 7 and 44. Intemperance is at an end, infidelity is cut off, righteousness is grown, and truth is sprung up. Okay? Now what is intemperance? Okay? Let's go ahead and get that real quick. Okay. And temperance. Lack of moderation or restraint. And this devil is known not to restrain himself because he can't have enough. Okay? Like Kim Iverson was going into with her analogy, okay, or comparison, of past events of tyranny and treachery on behalf of these devils' Western regime, by invading lands, sovereign lands that don't belong to them, to destabilize those lands under Western authority. Okay. Verse, this is 2 Ezra 7:45. Then shall no man be able to save him that is destroyed, nor to oppress him that hath gotten the victory. Okay? There's no saving these devils. So we're not worried about the wicked being judged, but rather how the righteous can be saved, like it says in 2 Ezra, the 9th chapter. This is Job chapter 18, verse 11. And it reads, terror shall make him afraid on every side, and shall drive him to his feet. How terror is going to surround his devil? Through the nukes. Prophesied in Jeremiah 49 and 31 and 32 and 2 Ezra 16 and 7 and similar precepts. This is why Africa, Russia, and China, had recently been, seen indulging in their military drills around the Atlantic Ocean, as well as Pacific Ocean, as it has been reported right here in addition.cnn.com. It reads, Russian warship armed with hypersonic missiles to train with Chinese South African navies, reported today. A Russian warship armed with advanced hypersonic missiles completed a drill in the Atlantic Ocean ahead of joint naval exercises with the Chinese and South African natives scheduled for next month, the Russian Defense Ministry said Wednesday. Russia's Admiral Gorshkov frigate, armed with Zircon hypersonic missiles, practiced delivering a missile strike against the enemy service target. The ship's commander, Igor Krokomal, said in a video released by the ministry. The exercise, described by state news agency TASS as an electronic launch or virtual simulation, confirmed the design characteristics of the missile system, said Krokomal, who pointed to the missile's purported ability to reach distances of more than 900 kilometers or 559 miles. The exercise will come as Russia nears the first anniversary of its full-scale invasion of Ukraine and marks both a show of force and, with the joint exercises, an opportunity for Moscow to show it is not isolated on the world stage, despite wide international condemnation of its unprovoked war. The White House said on Monday that the U.S. has concerns about any country exercising with Russia while Russia wages a brutal war against Ukraine. Well, how about you devils, on behalf of the U.S. and NATO, indulging in military drills with Israel? See, speaking of which, let me go ahead and bring out some more information on that. It's on presstv.ir. It says, President Raisi, Iran and Russia capacities complement each other, conserve mutual regional interests. Iranian president and Iran are the modern-day Persians for the nation of Elam. And pursuing Ezekiel the 30th chapter, they're going to be heavily involved in this last world's war against America, Babylon the Great. So it says, Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi says Iran and Russia are constantly developing economic relations, emphasizing the capacities of the two countries can complement each other toward the aim of serving mutual and regional interests. Okay? The two sides' capacities can complement each other, making use of them will not only serve the two countries' interests, but will benefit the region, Raisi said in a meeting with Russia's State Duma Speaker Vyacheslav Volodin in Tehran on Monday. He added that Iran seeks to fully implement the agreement signed with Russia, saying the two countries have dispersed capacities in various fields of trade, energy, transit, and transportation, which can be activated to help improve cooperation. Okay, and all that's being threatened through these cyber attacks. They're looking ironically blame on Russia and China. All right, so says the State Duma speaker for his part said President Raisi's stance on expansion of ties with regional and neighboring states would facilitate the promotion of cooperation between Tehran and Moscow. And it reminds me, speaking of Muslim nations, the glory of Babylon the Great, through her carnality and witchcraft is further wearing off, especially on behalf of the spirit of bondage through her Western philosophy. For the fact that America's top NATO ally, Turkey, one of America's top NATO allies in Turkey, is pissed off as Sweden, okay, a known ally of America looking to apply for NATO membership access. And Turkey's President Erdogan, okay, was pissed off recently against Sweden for a Swedish-Danish right-wing national burning a Quran, which is considered as a part of the the constitutional handbook of Muslim nations, and that pissed off Erdogan. So now he's further withdrawing his support on behalf of Turkey for Sweden being integrated within the NATO alliance. That further, compromise his interests. Okay? And he's already leaning towards joining BRICS anyway. And it's prophesied that Turkey, okay, pursuing Ezekiel the 38th chapter, when it mentions Togarmah and Gomer, it's like a Togarmah, okay, are going to be involved with Russia and Iran, okay, the biblical Persians of the nation Elam, against America. So these things are happening for a reason, man. Because, that doom, that further confirms what? That doom is coming to their ass. Okay? Point blank period. So, I'm going to go back to Job 18 and 11. Terror shall make him afraid on every side and shall drive him to his feet. All right? And it says, verse 12, his strength shall be hunger bitten and destruction shall be ready to side. And then when this mentions his strength shall be hunger bitten, mean what? He's going to be weakened through his own hunger, And it says in Psalm the 10th chapter, let the wicked be taken in the devices they have imagined against support. Because the devil, is covetous and lascivious. He wants to have everything. It's not enough that these wicked elite international crime banking families are trillionaires and well over that. Because there's no limit to their carnal wealth through the overprinting of these Federal Reserve notes. Okay? It's not enough that they have the majority of these gold bars, hidden within these banking vaults, especially within the Bank of England. Now they've gotten bored. Okay? That's why oversowing, like it says in Galatians 6th chapter, when it mentions the vanity of sowing, into the flesh, roughly paraphrasing. Those who have indulged in their fleshly desires shall reap the same reward, which is death. Because the body of this death, the body, consists of sin. And the man of sin and son of perdition, Esau, Edom, is running the world, man. This is why his rulership has an expiration, because he's a carnal-minded man. So his strength shall be hunger bitten, and destruction shall be ready at his side, on every side. Okay? So quick precept. In the book of Sirach, chapter 39, verse 26. The principal things for the whole use of man's life are water, fire, iron, and salt, flour, wheat, honey, milk, and the blood of the grape, and oil and clothing. All these things are for good to the godly, so to the sinners they are turned into evil. Because like I alluded to in the beginning of the lesson, man, these devils have been known to weaponize resources and commodities. Okay? All right? Through the likes of cybernetics. Okay? Geopolitics. Immoral decrees. Like not being able to work if you don't agree to drink the dragon juice like down in Canada. Where they're freezing the damn bank account. It's wicked as hell. For the fact that these devils' beast system is set up to not even pay people how people are and were intended to be paid according to the laws of the scriptures, being paid daily after each daily wage of one's each daily wages, offered. Well, in this devil's beast system, they make people wait mainly bi-weekly, and in very few cases weekly, and then also monthly. That's wicked. So when these cyber attacks happen, people in the dark for a certain amount of time, they're gonna be growing hungry and thirsty, restless, and they're gonna be looking for an outlet to express their displeasure with their current living conditions, man. And that's gonna further catapult these incidents of civil unrest, including death. That's what Esau will be able to justify implementing his martial law. It's all part of the World War III algorithm, man. And that's why their rulership has an end. That's why down in Peru, they're experiencing a geopolitical based protest of what I just mentioned. All right. So this is Sirach, chapter 27 and 27. It reads, "He that worketh mischief, it shall fall upon him, and he shall not know whence it cometh. Mockery and reproach are from the proud, but vengeance as a lion shall lie in wait for them." Right? Because these devils are mocking and reproaching the poor that are rich in the spirit, the Israelites, because ultimately their mutual plot was to move or blot out the remembrance of Israel from the earth. Okay? By way of which is why the goods and services and commodities that they transport, okay, through these trade routes and whatnot, and these major docking ports, in the sense of international trade, was acquired through slave labor, prophesied in St. James the 5th chapter. Acquired by bloodshed, carnality, and that blood's not going to go unaccounted for, preceding Ezekiel the 35th chapter, man. And similar precepts, because their end game of continuing to rule over the poor, all right, let's do this here. Bring it out. This right here. The MOT to the B satanic grain rice device, man. That's right here. So you want to eat, you want to continue to eat in the midst of this global geoeconomical crisis. We got you covered. Just bow down before our beast system by getting this implanted inside of you. Right? This is Sirach 27 and 29. "They that rejoice at the fall of the righteous shall be taken in the snare, and anguish shall consume them before they die. Malice and wrath, even these are abominations, and the sinful man shall have them both." So this devil has hell coming to him, man. Pure, unadulterated hell coming to him and all those who follow him. This is 2 Ezra 4:26, and it reads, "Then answered he me and said, the more thou searchest, the more thou shalt marvel, for the world hasteth fast to pass away, Like it says in 2 Ezra 14:17, how the world through age was seen to pass away. What? The world of Esau, Edom. His rulership, preceding 2 Peter, the 3rd chapter. And that's why in that same chapter, prophesies how a new kingdom would be established. The kingdom of heaven. This is 2 Ezra 4:27. And cannot comprehend the things that are promised to the righteous in time to come. For this world is full of unrighteousness and infirmities. So one's minds can't even truly fathom or comprehend the things that are truly promised to the righteous in time to come, for those who love Yahweh by Shem Yeshai. And they will be, who will be given everything in righteousness, man. Okay? This world, as in this globe, Earth, the planets in the second, so-called second heavens, if you will, outer space, the many mansions in our Abba Yahweh's house, like Yahweh mentioned in St. John the 4th chapter, the 14th chapter rather, immortality and so forth. Okay, a plethora of children to enjoy in the kingdom of heaven from our loins, and so forth. These what we have, that plenteous, everlasting, righteous glory we have coming to us is worth the sufferings that we endure right now. And that's why this devil is envious of us, because he knows he cannot have these things. That's why he's oppressing us as much as he can right now, because he understands the prophecies, man, and what they further entail, including the poor that are rich in spirit. They've been permitted to have downtrodden for so long, will eventually rule over them. This is 2 Ezra 4:28. But as concerning the things whereof thou askest me, I will tell thee, for the evil is sown, but the destruction thereof is not yet come. So that's why they came with that, that report of the doomsday clock being moved closer to 90%, 90 days to midnight. Okay, because they know, they have an inkling. They ain't no inkling. They know they're getting ready to be. They know they're done. So this is Sirach 10:9. Why is earth and ashes proud? There is not a more wicked thing than a covetous man. For such as one setteth his own soul to sale, because while he liveth, he casteth away his bowels. Verse 10. The physician cutteth off a long disease, which is Yahushai. And he that is today a king, tomorrow shall die. So the end of Esau, Edom is near. All we got to do is just continue to endure, and we get to witness the downfall of this devil, man. Percentage Sirach 25:7. You may end it off there. Sirach chapter 25, verse 7. And it reads, There be 9 things which I have judged in mine heart to be happy, and a 10th I will utter with my tongue. A man that had joy of his children, and he that liveth to see the fall of his enemy. And the main enemy of the descendants of Jacob is the Edomites. And their modern day pagan Western Roman Empire is falling bad. And will eventually be cleanly dissolved with a thermonuclear fire radiation of the destroying wind prophesied in Jeremiah 51:1 to lead this place neither root nor branch. For her sins reaching the heavens, man. And the blasphemies of you devils against Yahweh by Shem Yeshai. Through this place, America, Babylon the Great. So we will witness the true glory of Yahweh by Shem Yeshai in this earth. Once you devils go down. And that time is nigh. It's right around the corner. So I'm going to end it off here and give all praise, glory, infinite honor to my power, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who was the God of the living. Abanawa, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Hamashek Abishabarach, Wadash. Bless me to spirit through this video, which I praise for the edifying, exhorting to the lamb and sheep, including those who may have tuned into this live stream. All right. And with that, abad the ball. DTA soon and very soon. All right. And with that, Kwam Yash'Allah, rise Israel. Shalom to the elect. And on to the next one.